Hey everyone, and welcome back to day two of our 2025 Global Summit, Spark Your Magic. And today, kicking off day two, we are with the wonderful Leilah Najjuuko. Leilah, thank you so much for being here today. Really looking forward to what you've got in store for us.
Thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here too as well.
No, excellent. No, loving the smile, loving the energy you're bringing already. It's
Yeah,
fantastic. We've already
yeah.
got people tuned in as well. People are ready to listen to your talk, which is called Own Your Mic, I believe. So, all
Yes,
about
it is.
communication and how to speak with clarity. Excellent. We got Adele tuned in. Adele saying hello. Looking forward to further spark my magic with Leilah. We've got Nicole tuned in saying looking forward to another thought-provoking session. If you are tuned in, please say hello to Leilah. Ask your questions, bring in your comments, and Leilah will manage these as she goes through our session. So Leilah, before I hand you over the stage, would you
Mhm.
like to share a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm super excited. Thank you so much, Paul. So I'm going to share a story, a little bit about me. 15 years ago, I had an issue. It's like a disease or a discomfort. And it would happen like I would collapse. I would have shaky hands. I was back then in school. Shaky hands, collapse, have hot flashes, among others. So when it first happened, I was taken to a hospital. So the doctor told me that maybe I have asthma. So I was given cetirizine and I was told to ensure that I keep out of cold. So the next time it happened, like I would collapse, so the nearest people would rush me to the nearest hospital. So it would be different hospitals because of where I was at that time. So the other hospital I went to, they told me maybe your glucose is low. So they put me on is it IVF? Like for what is it called? They put me on medication for glucose. Then the other time it happened, someone advised me that maybe you have epilepsy. So they told me to go to another hospital and check for epilepsy. So luckily enough, when I went to that hospital, they told me that my brain is functioning right. It was not epilepsy. So I moved through different hospitals, and after like year 4, I got comfortable with it because doctors didn't have like the right answer or the right solution. I could know when it's going to happen. So I was like, it will come and it will go. I'll survive regardless. So we moved through school, then I went to the university, then I started working. So at the workplace, I remember one time I collapsed. But each time I would collapse, people would make comments like maybe she has been heartbroken. That is what people, that's the comment people used to share most. Each time I collapsed, I could hear everyone. I could tell it is Paul speaking or it is who speaking, but I didn't have the energy to get up, so I could hear everything. So one day, a guy made a comment like, I cannot marry such a girl. Oh, for me, it was a wake up call because the comment was harsh. He said, I cannot marry such a girl who is over collapsing. For me, it was a wake up call. That was 2018. The collapsing started in 2008, but now this is like 10 years down the road. I've started now working. So when he said that comment, in my head, I'm like, I think I need to do something about it because the comments people are making are not nice comments. So in 2008, yes, I did get uncomfortable with the comment, but I didn't do much because either way, I had tried hospitals and nothing was coming through. So we moved 2008, then come 2020. My turning point was in 2020. So in 2020, we are in COVID, we are in lockdown. I'm alone in my house. They are talking about the number of deaths all over the world. So I start feeling as if that issue is going to come, as if I'm going to collapse. So I tell myself, okay, if I collapse in this house alone, who is going to come and get me? Vehicles were not moving. So how will I get to the hospital? And then also, how will people get to know that I am sick or that I've collapsed? So for me, it was my turning point. I told myself, no, enough is enough. I cannot live like this. I need to find out what is happening. What is wrong with me? What is the exact issue? So when I asked around, luckily enough, this time around, I met a psychiatric. I think that's how they call them. So this guy, even within talking to him for just 5 minutes, he told me, no, those are signs of anxiety. And the collapsing you are having, those are called panic attacks. Such terms were very far away from my mind. I couldn't could get anxiety, panic attacks. What are those things? So it was then in 2020 March that I decided to learn what is anxiety, what are panic attacks. So I learned about it, what are the symptoms, what are the causes. So I remember coming up with 5 steps on how better I can become, how can I heal. So it was in 2020 that I decided. So when it worked out for me, I realized that the panic attacks were not coming out again. I realized I wasn't getting sweaty again. And to share the good news, since 2020 to date, I've never gotten any panic attacks since after that incident. So I started working on myself. So it was then that I made that decision that if I was on that medication, cetirizine, someone saying maybe it's epilepsy, someone saying maybe it's lack of glucose, all those medications, then how many people out there are on that kind of medication, yet probably there are solutions that they can use that are not even medical related. So it was then that I decided, you know what, I need to empower people. I need to make the awareness about this anxiety and panic attacks. So that is when my coaching journey actually started. And while I was doing the awareness, I realized that some of the things that probably would have caused the anxiety is the lack of confidence that I had in myself, the lack of confidence to communicate, the lack of confidence to share my pains, to ask for support. So I realized, okay, if I work on my confidence, if I work on my communication, then I can heal. And if I'm able to work on myself and it works out, then how about helping other people around it? So my journey started in 2020, and it's the decision I took on that day that actually led me to this conversation, me being here because of the decision I took back in 2020. Yes, so that's a little bit about me, and that's why we're here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that and being so open and vulnerable. It must have been quite scary, 10 years, not knowing what's
Yeah,
going on, collapsing a lot, and then your partner
yeah,
stepped away from you because of this. But it's really good that you found what it is and you haven't had one for the past couple of years, which is really wonderful.
yeah,
So thank you for sharing that. I'm excited to learn more and see what you've got in store from us and what this next phase has been and these tips that you have. I'm just going to welcome a few people before I hand you the stage because we've got lots of people tuned in. So we've got Sharon tuned in. She's saying, hi, everyone. Looking forward to this. We've got Jane tuned in, Laura's tuned in, Edith's tuned in. So there's lots of people tuned in and excited to listen to you today. So on that note, Leilah, I'm going to hand you over the stage, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you've got in your slides for us today.
thank you. Okay. Wow, let's get started. I'm super, super excited. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I am super, super excited. Let's enjoy this journey. Let's have this conversation. Yeah. Hearts, comments. I'm looking forward. So, sharing still a little bit of my journey or continuing where I've stopped. Me growing up, some of the things or the things I wanted to do when I had grown up, one was I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be a dancer. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be a model. So for me, those are the things I really loved. I love singing. I'm a person who loves singing a lot. I like acting because for me, those are some of the things I feel they enable me perform and bringing character to life. So growing up, the things I wanted to do. But I realized along that journey, I wasn't able to fulfill my dreams or to actually chase them. And the reason was I didn't have enough confidence in myself because people around me never told me I was good at singing. So that made me doubt myself. And I didn't have the platforms to be able to sing or to showcase my ability to act and all that. So that made me doubt that maybe I'm not that good. So it made me not follow my dreams, and actually till today. And fast forward from back then when I wanted to do that, fast forward, I become after work, after studying, I start working. I become a banker because that's what I studied. But I realized as years moved on, I went through the ranks. I was able to become a manager, a leader at certain point. But many times I went to a meeting and I was unable to speak. Like deep down inside my heart, I have something to say. Like I wish I could say this. I have a point to say, but I end up not saying it. The meeting gets done, I tell myself, I wish I had said that. Or sometimes I'm in a meeting and then someone says my point because I didn't have the courage to share it. And probably they get the acknowledgement. And I tell myself, but that was my point. I wish I had said it out. Or The other time, I have a point to share, but I keep telling myself, give yourself 1 minute, give yourself 1 minute. Before you know it, they are up to another point or another, like part of that session of the meeting. You've not said your point because now you cannot tell them, okay, let's go back and I share my point. So all that happened to me. And with time, I realized I wasn't alone. Very many people, me and you, we lack the ability to speak because we are scared. We don't have the confidence to really say what we want to say. And this is affecting, this happens in our relationships, this happens at home, this happens with our friends, this happens in our meetings and everywhere because we lack the ability to speak. We lack the ability to own our mics. And each time we are given a mic, we think someone is doing me a favor. Each time you're given to speak, each time I'm given to speak, maybe to speak in my circles, I might feel someone is doing me a favor. Instead of owning my mic, like, you know what, this is my chance to speak. Let me speak as is. Let me speak how I believe it. So that is why we are here, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Najjuuko Leilah, and I am a communication and confidence trainer and speaker. And today, I want us to look at how best can we speak with clarity and how best can we speak with confidence. Because the real struggle is when you walk into a meeting and you want to say something, but you're unable to say it because your voice was shaky, you're unable to say it because you were scared, that is not good. Like, even it makes you feel, I wish I'd said that. And also, very many times, like, you walk to your partner, to your spouse, or to your friend, or even your child, and you want to have a conversation with them. You want to say something, and it ends up into a conflict. How many of us have tried to communicate to someone, and the conversation turns out into a conflict? But remember, that was not your intention. So what does that do? It's going to make your confidence drop. That is number one. Your relationships are going to suffer, and you're going to lose opportunities. Because imagine you're walking to your spouse and you're trying to converse with them. This leads into a conflict. What are you going to do? The next time you'll be like, I'm not going to go and talk to them because each time I try to talk to them, they don't understand me and we end up into a conflict. So you're going to keep piling up issues instead of communicating them. Isn't that making your relationship suffer? Even with friends. Sometimes our friends make jokes about us and we are not comfortable with it, but we are unable to communicate. We are unable to tell them because probably maybe we are worried we shall lose the friendship or something else. So, three things happen whenever you don't have the courage to speak what you need to speak. Whenever you speak but you're not clear, people are not able to understand you. Your confidence is going to drop, your relationships are going to suffer, you're going to miss opportunities. Just imagine, maybe at your workplace, let me talk about opportunities. At your workplace, there is a promotion, but you do not believe in yourself. You keep telling yourself, how am I going to show up in the interview? How am I going to show up in the meeting? How am I going to communicate? You see? Or even you're already a leader, but you are not able to communicate the KPIs to your subordinates. Then how are they going to do what they need to do? That is already a missed opportunity of you being a great leader, of you being an exemplary leader, of you going for that promotion that you desire, all because you cannot communicate clearly. Or you cannot communicate with confidence. You don't have that ability to do that. So whenever we are not able to communicate, those three things will happen. Your confidence will break, your relationships will suffer, and you'll miss out on opportunities. So allow me share the truth here. In as much as many times we think communication is a nice to have skill, they put up trainings or what, someone will say, I'm good at communicating. I remember I've been able to communicate with my friends for the past 20 years. I've been able to communicate with my spouse for the past how many times? And we think maybe communication is a nice to have skill. But let me tell you the truth. The truth is communication is a life skill. Everything you do in life depends on how you communicate. Your relationships, your marriage will depend on how you communicate with your partner, at your workplace, how you communicate with your subordinates or your leaders, with your friends, your social life, how are you communicating with them? But even above all, how are you communicating with your creator? When we are asking something from God, isn't that communication? So communication is not just a nice to have skill, it is actually a life skill. But the good news is communication can be learned. You being able to speak clearly and confidently, it can be learned. The speakers you see out there, the speakers we admire, the speakers who are on the platform yesterday did a wonderful job. The speakers out there, maybe the Oprah Winfrey, maybe the voices of this world, maybe Simon Sinek, or anyone in your country that you admire, or in your social circle, people that you admire that are doing it well. They learned, they practiced, they showed up. They were intentional at learning the art of communication. They were intentional at doing it. That's why for you, when they come to you, you think they were born like that. They were not born like that. They are trying to learn and be their best. They are practicing. So the way you see communication, how you learn how to drive, you learn how to cook, you learn how to ride a bicycle, it is the same thing with communication. You need to learn how to communicate with clarity and with confidence. So I'm going to share two pillars. One, how can we learn to speak with confidence? That is what we're going to look at for now. How best can we learn to speak with confidence? Because, ladies and gentlemen, confidence is not you being perfect, because no one is perfect anyway. Confidence is about your presence. Confidence is about how you show up every single day. Even when your voice is shaky, even when you do not believe in yourself, even when you doubt that probably your child is not going to understand what you say. Confidence is you showing up, even when your voice shakes, even when you fear, you choose to do it anyway. All the people you see out there, the difference between the people who speak with confidence in whatever space they are in and the people who don't speak with confidence, the only difference is these ones that you think have confidence, they chose to show up. They chose to speak. And that's why for you, you might think they're actually confident, but they are choosing to show up anyway. So allow me share the 3 P's of confidence. How can we build our confidence? How can we speak with confidence? We're going to look at 3 P's. Number 1 is prepare. Confidence, if you really, really want to speak with confidence, you have to prepare. These things are not going to come out from the blue. You're going for a parents teachers meeting. Prepare. Prepare. Don't just go in and say, I'll see it when we get there. No. Prepare. Maybe write down 3 points that, you know what, when I go for this meeting maybe teacher parent meeting, this is what I'll ask. This is the clarity I will need. If I'm talking to my spouse, I need some clarity. Maybe these are the things I'll talk about so that I do not forget. Because sometimes, even with our friends, we are speaking with them, but because the discussion can change along the way, we might even end up being off track. So when you have your points or something you prepare to think about, to speak about, it helps you show up better and it improves your confidence. So let us learn to prepare. Don't just go in and say, I will see when I get there. This has happened in the exam, people who have had exams before. The confidence you have about yourself when you're going in that exam, if you really read, if you really did your research, like it feels different if you read and did your research. You'll have, even if it is a small bit of confidence in what you're going to do, even the way you show up will be totally, totally different. But just imagine you're going for an exam, you're going for an interview, or even going for a date, and you did not prepare. How are you going to show up? Someone will easily notice that, you know what, even your presence alone will show you did not prepare. So if we want to communicate, let us prepare. Number 2 is practice. I've mentioned that all the speakers that we see, that we admire, that are doing great in their relationships with their children, It's because they learned how to practice. They keep practicing. How can they speak? How can they show up? How can they be more confident? So, speaking, you have to practice. There is no any other way out. You have to keep practicing even when you're scared, because the more you practice, the less scary it becomes. The more you do it over and over again. The way I spoke 3 months ago is actually not the way I'm speaking right now, because with practice, it gets better. Even you, if you started practicing today, 1 year down the road, it will be totally different. So let us practice if we want to show up and be able to speak and be understood. Keep practicing, even if it is just one line. Practice how you're going to say it. You're going to speak to your child. Practice how you're going to say, how do you talk to a child? That is all practice. How do you talk to a child and they understand you? Because if you just go in, this is a big age difference. Sometimes you might communicate to them as if you're communicating to an age mate. Will they understand you? So you practice and say, okay, if I'm talking to a child, how best can I speak to this child and they understand me? So practice, practice, practice is very important. The third P that I would want us to look at is presence. Presence. How are you showing up in your conversations? How are you showing up in those interviews? How are you showing up for your children? So presence will matter a lot. And when I talk about presence, I mean the body language. The body language, how are you speaking? The body language will tell the person what you mean, because if the body language does not match the words you are speaking, then it does not make a difference. It will not, people will not understand what you say if it does not align. For example, I can give us a brief story. When I was at my workplace, I was able to, my supervisor told me that, and before I tell you about my supervisor, when I was communicating, like back then having conversation with my mom used to tell me that when I'm talking, like I was always folding my forehead. So for me, I used not to know about it. So she told me, for her, she used to tell me, you'll grow old. Ensure you don't fold your forehead. That's what she used to tell me. I brushed it off, my mother anyway. So at my workplace, I'm having a conversation with my boss one day. And for me, when I'm serious, I kind of fold my face. Like this is something I'm trying to work on. But I think my forehead folds a bit because I'm taking in everything you're telling me. I'm thinking about it, digesting it. So what my boss told me, how come I'm speaking to you and you're angry? In my head, I'm like, I'm not angry. I'm just listening in. So I realized that, okay, this is something my mom told me about, but if I don't work on it, it's going to also affect my other relationships or at my workplace. Because now what my boss thought is, maybe I wasn't paying attention. Maybe I wasn't interested in what he is saying. So very many times we show up, maybe the way we are speaking to our spouses, the way we are speaking to your children, your body language will show, people will perceive you depending on your body language, even if your words are sweet. But is your body language in alignment with what you are speaking? For another example I can give is when you are talking to someone and your head is straight, like you're looking at someone straight in their eyes, or if it's Zoom or online, you're looking straight in the camera, people will perceive you to be firm and clear because of that presence, how you're looking. And if you tilt your head a bit, I said that you'll appear to be warm, you'll appear to be empathetic. So how do you want to show up? Do you want to show up as warm, as empathetic, as firm, as confident? How do you want to show up, ladies and gentlemen? Your presence will matter a lot because people will perceive you, including how you are showing up. So those are the 3 P's of confidence that I wanted to share with you. If you want to really speak with confidence, let us have those 3 P's at the back of our mind, always. As I conclude this segment, the most important thing I can tell you, or one of the principle in general, if you want to build your confidence, is make sure that you keep the promises you make to yourself. Allow me repeat that. If you want to build your confidence, ensure that you keep the promises you make to yourself. If you say, I'm going to wake up at 5, wake up at 5. If you promise yourself you're going to the gym, go to the gym. You're going to start reading a book, do it. Each time you break those promises, you're going to lose trust in yourself. So if you lose trust in yourself, then how are you going to show up for others? It all starts with you. So keep general principle, keep the promises you make to yourself. You will start believing in yourself because you have already showed up for yourself. And that will also translate in how you show up to other people. So, how can we speak with clarity? How can we speak with clarity? Because, like I said, confidence is a nice to have skill. That's what many of us think. But also, confidence, I would tell you, it is a life skill. So, but how do we now match the confidence with speaking with clarity? So, the difference here is that I would want us to get. Confidence is how you speak, how you get to speak to the people. But clarity is ensuring that people understand what you say and remember it. That is a difference between the two. You speaking with confidence is you having the courage to go out there and speak. But if you want people to understand you, if you want your spouse to understand you, if you want your child to understand you, if you want your friends to understand you and remember what you said, now that is you speaking with clarity. So, how best can we speak with clarity? The simplest way or the tool I would want us to focus on today is the vocal mastery. Why? Very many times when we're going for interviews, when we are going for those dates with our spouses or friends, when you're going to different things, we try to show up in the best way possible, as beautiful as possible, fully dressed, smelling nice. We really mind about how we look. How many times do we mind about our voice? That is why today I want to give the attention to the voice. When you are going to speak to someone, it is very important for you to ensure that these 5 tools are worked on. Number 1, when we're talking about vocal mastery, is your rate of speech. When you are speaking to your partner, to your friend, to anyone, in any space you are in, what is your rate of speech? If you speak too fast, you're going to overwhelm people. If you speak too slow, you are going to bore people. For example, speaking too fast would be like, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to speak about speaking with clarity, because when you speak with clarity, you're going to ensure that you show up in your conversations better. You're going to overwhelm people when you're speaking very fast. But then also, when you speak very slow, it becomes boring. So when you speak very slow, it becomes boring. So if you want your people to really understand what you're saying, the key point is in articulation and pronunciation of the words. Ensure you're not too fast or you're not too slow, so that at least people are moving at the same pace with you. Number 2 is your volume. Your volume will also help people to either understand what you're saying or not. When I talk about the volume, is it too soft or is it too loud? When you speak too softly, you're going to sound unsure. When you speak too loudly, you're going to sound aggressive. Too soft would be, ladies and gentlemen, how are you? Today I want to talk about how to speak with clarity. Because when you speak with clarity, you're going to ensure that, that is too soft. People are not going to understand what you're saying. You're going to even start doubting what I'm going to say, because you'll be like, is she sure what she's going to tell us? Because I'm too soft, you can hardly hear. And if it is too loud, I can't. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to speak about how to speak with clarity, because when you speak, oh my God, that is already aggressive. People will wonder, what is wrong with this woman? How come she's too loud? So Whenever you're speaking to your partner, to your children, at your workplace, if your voice is too loud, you're going to sound aggressive and they'll not even be able to hear you. They'll switch off. And if you're soft, they'll think, "Ah, this person is not even sure of what they're going to tell us today. Anyway, we can move on, or we can pay attention to our phones or something else." Number three is the pitch and melody. Pitch and melody is how you vary your voice. We need to ensure that our voices are not too flat, because when you are flat, it is like robotic. That's why when I've had a chance to see people reading bedtime stories to their children, if you notice, the person reading this bedtime story will try to bring out the character. For example, maybe the book is about a mother and a father. The person reading might be, maybe if it is the man, they'll try to bring out the big voice. "Oh, good morning, my children. How are you?" And then the mother will say, "Oh, we are fine. Welcome." Why is the person reading like that? It's because they know if they try to speak like the man, like the woman, this child is going to pay attention. But if the person is flat, that even before you know it, the child will be asleep. So that clearly explains the importance of melody and pitch. Best example is, you see how people read bedtime stories for the children. They try to bring out the character. Even in movies, you see someone trying to bring out a character. When someone was speaking like in a deep voice, they try to bring that out. When someone was speaking, like, you vary the your voice, not too high, not too low. So that melody will, at least people will keep locked in, other than just being flat and robotic. People will get bored anyway. You're in a social circle with your friends, you're trying to tell them a nice story, but each time you're robotic, you'll end up seeing them on their phones. The fourth one is tonality. Tonality is how you speak, the emotions behind whatever you're trying to say. For example, you're talking to your spouse, and you say something like, "Oh, I'd love to go out for dinner with you," or something like, "I miss you." So when you're putting in a bit of tone, you'll be, "I miss you." Tone is like the emotion behind the words. If you're feeling excited, if you're feeling happy, if you're feeling excited, your tone will be able to reflect it. And it all begins with even your body language. If your face is angry, even your words, someone is going to like hear your words, like, indeed this person is angry. You're going to sound angry. And if you are happy and your face all shows it, even the words, tonality is the emotion around it. And it's more of you prolonging the word, like, "Oh my God, I feel so excited to be here. Oh my, maybe your longtime friend. Oh my God, I'm so excited to see you." Like, it shows you are happy to see that person. You are excited to have that conversation with that person. So we should be mindful of our tone. Then the last one, number 5, is the pause. The pause. Ladies and gentlemen, the pause does a lot of magic. The pause is something that adds significance to whatever you are talking about. Whenever you pause in a conversation, in any conversation, you're giving that chance to the listener, or to the person you're talking to, your child, your friend, your workmate, your spouse. You're giving them a chance to hear whatever you are saying and to take it in. Very many times we think, excuse me, very many times we think that if someone asks a question, like, you need to rush through it, because if you pause, they might think you do not have enough knowledge about it. Or someone sometimes is giving you a chance to present and you feel like you don't have enough time, so you need to rush through it. It's a presentation, you have 10 slides, you have a lot to talk about. It's a date and you want to ask a zillion questions in this person on that date. That will make you not pause. But you can focus on talking something like few words, of having a little bit of small conversations, but someone is able to understand. So it's very, very important to pause so that we give a chance. to the people we are talking to understand us. Also, when you pause as a person, you're having in any space you're in, you're having a conversation, you give yourself a chance to think of what you're going to say next without you putting in filler words like because sometimes the reason why we put in the conversations because our brain sometimes is thinking of what to say next. So whenever you're pausing, it's going to help you avoid the those filler words because you've given yourself a chance to pause and think of what to say next. So with that, that will help you be able to speak with clarity in any space you move into. You're going to ask, okay, how can I know my rate of speech? How can I know my volume? How can I know my pitch? How can I know my tonality? So that I improve, I see whether I'm good enough to improve or like badly enough to see what I can do. So, how can you know where you stand? Because in anything in life, for you to get better at anything, it starts with self awareness. So even in communication, we are going to start with self-awareness. You need to understand at what stage, at what point are you at for you to see what you how much you need to improve. So the best tool I can share with you is the record and review. So how do we do the record and review? Number one is you're going to get your phone, camera, whatever, phone. So you're going to record yourself for like 5 minutes. And when you're recording yourself, do not use the front camera. This is front. Use the behind camera. The behind camera. So you're going to record yourself like this behind camera. So when you're recording yourself, you're going to record yourself for 5 minutes. Speak about anything you are comfortable with, anything you are comfortable with. Don't put yourself on pressure. It could be about your friend, it could be about your children, it could be about your workplace, anything. So you're going to record yourself for 5 minutes. After recording yourself for 5 minutes, do not look at that video for the next 24 hours. Why? When you look at this video, you're going to be biased. Like, oh my God, what was I saying here? Oh, like you're going to be biased and you may not pay attention to it. So after 24 hours, it's a lot easier because you're not on pressure. You don't even probably remember what you were saying in the video. So you'll be more clear at listening to it. So after 24 hours, remove your phone and now we are going to review the video. So the first review we are going to do is the auditory review. So get your video and play the video, but put your phone down. Like ensure you don't look at the video. Just listen to whatever you are speaking in those 5 minutes. Get your book, get your book and pen, and take note of what you are saying. Where can you improve? What did you do that you feel is not right? Look out for things like the filler words. Um, uh, those things. So whenever you're reviewing, it will help you see that to hear the filler words or the filler sounds. So it is really really advisable to just listen. Don't look for the video. Take notes. The second one is going to be the body language. So how do you review the body language? This time around, you're going to get to your video and mute. Mute so that you don't hear whatever I say. Just look at the video. Just watch whatever you're saying in that video. So you're going to look out for things like maybe like some of us who were given feedback, maybe you're folding your face, maybe you're over touching your nose, or there's something you're going to be able to see. There's a masterclass I was conducting, and I told people, if you can, put on your camera and introduce yourself. So one of the ladies got the camera. This is like a camera. So she started looking, she now started introducing herself. But while she was introducing herself, she was looking this side. She was like, ladies, my name is Najjuuko Leilah. I am a farmer and this is what I do. I'm excited to be here. So for all the minutes she was doing that, she didn't look in the camera. This was the direction of the camera, but for her, she was facing somewhere else. So whenever you're doing this exercise and you're reviewing your body language and all that, you're going to be able to see Was I looking the camera? Was I facing down? Sometimes we are talking to people, but probably we are like this. Maybe it's a presentation, it's a meeting, but we are facing down. So that will help you see that. Then the third one is transcribe. Transcribing. What do I mean by transcribing? Get a software. The software is going to transcribe your voice, whatever you said, into words. What are we looking out for here? We are looking out for clarity. Because this, when you're transcribing the words, what we're looking out for is, if in my voice I was saying goal, did the transcriber software also mention goal, or it said go? Like the words, it should be able to articulate the words. And when you're instructing this software, tell it not to remove the filler words or the filler sounds, because we want to know how many filler words did we mention and at what point. Maybe you're mentioning the filler words or anything you sound whenever you're moving at either at a certain point, maybe you're moving to the next phase of your conversation or something. So the transcribe is going to show you all that. So this is a practice I would highly encourage you to do, because when you do it, it helps you know where to stand. It also helps you know what you can do, where you can improve. Yeah. So as I conclude, what we've been looking out for, we've looked at how to speak with clarity. We've looked at how to speak with confidence. And the major focus was, how are you showing up to other people? How are you speaking with your children? How are you speaking with your spouse? How are you speaking at the workplace? So the major focus was how you're going to show up to yourself out there. But ladies and gentlemen, I want us to also focus, in as much as that is important. What is more important is you owning your inner mic. How do you speak to yourself? Because it is not about how you speak to others, but how you speak to yourself is more important. You telling yourself, I'm going to mess up. You telling yourself, I can't do it. You telling yourself all those sorts of things. Even if we bring all the techniques in the world, they're not going to be helpful. So the most important bit is, how do you talk to yourself? How do you show up to yourself? Before you prepare for that meeting and go and kill it off, what did you tell yourself? How are you communicating to yourself? Before you go out to that date, before you try to speak to other people, the most important thing is how you speak to yourself. It is very, very important. You owning your inner mic. So here is my challenge for you. As you walk into any space, your classroom, you're going to the classroom, probably a meeting, you're going for a date, anywhere you're going to the different thing, before you go there, I want you to check your inner mic. First, check, what are you telling yourself? Because how you show up for yourself, what you tell yourself, it's going to reflect on how you show up to other people. If you own your mic in here and in here, it is going to be how you show up to other people out there. And ladies and gentlemen, if you do that, that is how you spark your magic. Thank you so much for listening and looking forward for questions. Back to you, Paul.
Thank you so much, Leilah. Lots of beautiful tips and techniques in there on how we can speak with clarity. I really, really enjoyed that conversation. So thank you for that. We've got a few questions in the comments box already, so I'm going to bring these in just a moment. I do want to invite the audience. If you do have any questions for Leilah, now is your chance to ask them. Please drop them in the comments box. So we've got a question that came up from Jane quite early, Leilah. And she says, how do you communicate clearly, speak your mind without sounding arrogant?
Thank you so much. Without sounding arrogant, that is something that we've talked about in the vocal mastery, because your tonation is going to show whether you're arrogant or not. So you need to look at how your words, in terms of tonality, what are the feelings behind the words. Like I said, that when you're speaking, if you're excited, we're going to be able to tell in your words. If you're sad and angry, we're going to be able to know that. So if you are worried that, you know what, maybe when I'm speaking, I sound arrogantly, then try doing that review. Record yourself and see, do I sound arrogant and what can I do about it? Maybe my arrogance comes out in how I sound. Do I sound so fast? That brings in my arrogancy. Can I tone it down a bit? Is my tonation high? Maybe if I lower it. Am I too loud? Maybe if I reduce the volume a bit. So when you play around through those, the vocal mastery, the tonation, the volume, the pitch, and the tonation, it can help you at least manage the arrogance bit. Yeah.
No, definitely, I can resonate with that, Leilah. The tonality is really important, and how we speak with passion as well. I just have one tip that I'd like to share, if that's okay, Leilah, as well, to Jane. One thing I learned in terms of arrogance is when we're speaking, is to avoid using the word you. You need to do this. You need to do that, and just simply changing that to we need to do that. That we, in
Mm.
effect, be encouraging everybody in your talk along with you, just makes that change. It's something I learned a couple of years ago when I did a public speaking course as well.
Yeah.
So thank you for
Thank you.
that. And another question from Adele. Adele says, question, how can coaching help you with communication?
How can
How can
your
coaching help you with communication?
coaching can help you in communication? Oh, I did share this. I'm also a student currently in Coaching Minds. I'm super excited about that, seeing how better I can also be a coach. So, how can coaching communicate help you with communication? Is by you going to the coach, someone you know can help you, someone who says they can do about it. So this person is going to assess you. Is going to ask you based on the questions they will be able to ask you. They'll get your answers and probably also share some tools for you to be able to, for them to know where do you lie and what can you do going forward. So coaching can help you because in coaching there are very many tools, there are very many frameworks that the coach can use on you to tell where you are now and where you want to go, or even you yourself, you come in and share your problem, what kind of direction you want. So this coach will be able to suggest a tool that can work for you.
Wonderful, excellent. No, thank you for that, Leilah. That's really fantastic. And I have a question as well. We're waiting for some more comments to come in and questions to hit the StreamYard here. The question I have is what, you've given a lot of tips there, which is fantastic. One thing that was coming to my mind is when we're presenting this information and we're helping people, what role does introversion and extroversion play in public speaking? And would you approach this in your work? Would you approach your teachings differently with an introvert than you would an extrovert?
Yeah, that in public speaking, it's very very important on whether you're talking to an introvert or an extrovert. I think it's called much and what, like when you're talking to an introvert, how you show up is how you should show up. For example, let me give a simple example. If Paul, you come talking to me in a soft voice, if I'm a trainer, communication trainer, or a coach, I should also speak to you in a soft voice. So it's called match and mirroring. So I match what you're saying. So if your voice is soft, I'll also try to be soft. But when we're communicating, I start being soft to match you, but I go on improving to take you where I want you to be.
Yeah.
So even an extrovert, I try to understand and match the level that you are at. But while we are communicating, I try to get you to the level you should be at. So match and mirroring can help in either introvert or extrovert.
Excellent. No, thank you for that. I appreciate you answering that. We've got a comment coming in here as well from Fiona Donovan, who said, not so much a question, more an observation. I found Toastmasters International to be a really safe space to learn to speak, learn from others, and practice, practice, practice.
Yeah. Yeah, Toastmasters are good. It's a good platform.
Yeah, no, excellent. And we've actually got a Toastmasters speaker who's won a couple of Toastmasters awards tomorrow. And it's actually our final talk of the summit. So tomorrow at 7 p.m. UK is Sunish Kumar. Yeah, yeah. And Jane's come back to you and said, I love the idea of recording and reviewing yourself. Great presentation, Leilah.
Thank you, Jai.
Excellent. So if we're still waiting for questions, if you do have any questions, we've still got 10 minutes to ask Leilah. Leilah, I've got another question for you, if you don't mind. Just while I wait for some more to come in. On all the mastery that you mentioned, the vocal mastery, on your own journey, what's been the most difficult for you to master in growing your public speaking?
Oh, that's a very good question. Now, for me, it was the rate of speech. When I started talking or like being able to present to people, in the beginning, I used to speak very fast. So people used to tell me, "Oh, you're speaking very fast." So for me, I thought that was a compliment. English not being my first language, when you learn how to speak it and you're speaking very fast, like, I'm mastering my game. So when people used to tell me, "Oh, you're speaking very fast," I thought that was a compliment, like, "Oh, that's good." But it was with time that I noticed when someone says you're speaking very fast, it means they're not understanding what you're saying. Like you're leaving them behind. Slow down a bit. So for me, the major one was the rate of speech. Learning, actually, even up to now, I'm trying to learn how to speak slowly a bit to tone down my rate of speech, yes.
Yeah. And I can imagine time pressure can put that on as well.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, I know.
Deliver a presentation, you want to make sure you get everything fitted in. So
Yes, true.
yeah.
So we end up rushing and talking very fast.
Yeah, we do indeed. We do indeed. So I'm just going to give it one more minute just to see, because it takes time for the comments to come and hit the space. So we'll give it one more minute. But is there any final words, Leilah, you'd like to leave our audience for today?
My final words would be like I said, communication. If you want to get anything in this world, it's about communication. We need to learn how to communicate. Nothing is going to come on a silver plate. Parenting needs communication. Marriage needs communication. Friendships, how are you communicating with your friendships will matter how you're keeping them. At your workplace, in your business, how you communicate with your clients, even if the price is actually high, but how you communicate to them will either bring them back or not. So communication in every space is very important. Let us learn how to communicate to the people around us. Yes.
Beautiful. I really resonate with that. And on that note, nothing else has come in for now. But if you do have any questions on the replay, please drop them in the comments box and Leilah will get back to you. Leilah, I just want to say a huge thank you again. Absolutely wonderful talk. Lots of useful tips there for people who want to speak with clarity. Thank you for giving your time today. I know it's quite late for you over in Africa. So please have a good evening and get yourself a good rest. And thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you. And a huge thank you to everybody who's tuned in, asked their questions, commented, and just sat and took notes in the background. It's really wonderful to have you all here as well. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody. And we'll see you in an hour's time where we have Ab stepping forward with his talk at our Global Summit. Speak to you all soon. Thank you, guys.